Media 21. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here. Yes, I know I'm a little bit late. Normally I go live a little earlier than this, but it was a busy morning, so I had to take care of business. But thanks for tuning into the show. I appreciate everyone for being here. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like the comments. Subscribe to the channel. Yeah, we're going to get to what's being talked about, what we missed, what's happening with the trial. And the one thing I will say that it's literally going to just depend on the the jurors. And there's several of them. So many people are trying to say, okay, you know, they have a lot to say, but it's not up to the public. It's definitely up to the jurors. Once the jurors get their instructions and what's going to happen, it's up to them. Many people are trying to say, and like I said before, in regards to what's going on, he's innocent till proven guilty in a court of law, but we're definitely going to get to some clips. I thank everyone for being here. We're going to get to some clips. I'm trying to set myself up on this side. So like the video as you guys come in. Let me go ahead and do my disclaimer. Let's see. Like the video. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships and research. Fair use is used prevented by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged, in our opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Okay, so there's part of the disclaimer. Good enough. Okay, so we're going to get to some clips. Allow people some time to come in. Make sure you guys are turning on your notifications. On Tuesday, Wednesday, I was actually looking for certain pages, and I literally had to go to something that said lives. It wasn't giving me proper recommendations in regards to people I often watch. So make sure you turn on your notification, everyone. But I hope everyone's having a good day, keeping cool wherever you are. Like the videos you guys come in. Okay, so let's get to some topics that's going on in regards to the case. Come on in. Like the video. Like the video. I hope everyone's doing well. Just give me a second.
Combs trial. And this was the U.S. Basically has rested its case, although they didn't use the magic words. They said no further questions. They questioned this agent Cerciello for the entire morning. And at first it was hard to figure out, it just seemed very scattershot, and read this message, read that message, and the public screens were turned off so you couldn't see the video, not just the videos, but even the exhibits, because they hadn't somehow taken the time to redact or Jane's real name. But it all, at least to me, it's sort of what they were trying to do, to put it that way, came together. They were basically showing in a sort of crescendo that ended just now with the day in 2024 of the fight at the house there in Los Angeles. They were trying to show the incredible interweaving of all of Sean Combs' assistants and Bad Boys employees, including Jonathan Perez, including Fahim Mohammed, including Brandon Paul, who just got off the witness stand Friday, and it made me wonder why they didn't ask him more specifically about, as much as he said that his drug buying was only about 1% of his work, he was extremely involved and knowledgeable of these last minute events leading up to this. Now, there were some strange, there was one of the escorts apparently was named Rico Love, and he had another name, but of course it flashed, it wasn't on the screen, so I'm going to call him Rico Love. There was a reference to Swipe Diddler that some people took an interest in. Turns out that Swipe Diddler appears to have been a Venmo handle for Combs. Swipe Diddler. What else do we have? There's a lot of moving parts here. We live tweeted it all. To some degree, it was fragmentary. I don't know what to say about it, except that it's difficult when things are being read extremely fast. At the end, AUSA Maureen Comey kind of laughed and said that the judge had asked her to speed it up, and so she had. So there were speed read exhibits between her and Cerciello, with them playing parts, playing Jane, playing Christina Coram. At various points, like Sean Combs said, bring me X number of bottles of baby oil to the door and the cash and his phone. They've left the jury with a picture of an organization, of at least of an entire system of personal assistance, very much in the know of what was taking place with Jane and the travel arrangements for the escorts. We'll see. I think when we go back in, we're going to have the Rule 29 motion, which is to say there's not enough evidence here. Then we're going to have a defense case, and they say that the closings will be on Thursday. So we'll be covering it to the end. Inner City Press, on the case, to be continued.
Let's be real. Life is not...
Okay. Fair use reaction clip. Like the videos, you guys come in. Like the videos, you guys come in. Don't forget to subscribe. Please subscribe.
P. Diddy Combs. A special agent returns to the stand to walk the jury through Combs' hotel records. But as CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman reports, today started with discipline for both the defense and the prosecution. Take a look. The judge reprimanded both parties this morning after information from a sealed proceeding ended up in an article. He says that someone flagrantly violated the court's order.
This was a recap from Wednesday or Thursday.
And he's going to be investigating this. He also warned against any further violations. He said that he would put people on the stand and take away their phones if that happens. We're also hearing from a couple witnesses today, Special Agent Delisa Penland and then Brendan Paul, a former assistant of Sean Combs. Paul has been given immunity for his testimony. He was actually arrested back in March of 2024 on a day when a couple of Combs' homes were raided, and he was originally charged with drug possession at the time. Those charges were later dropped. Delisa Penland has been showing the jury charts. These bring together hotel records, different communications behind the scenes. This is all very important for the racketeering conspiracy charge that the government has brought against Sean Combs, because we're seeing how things were paid for, how those payments came out of accounts that were linked to Combs' company. We're also seeing communications between his employees, such as Christina Coram, his former chief of staff, who the government has identified as a co-conspirator in this case, security guards, assistants, surrounding incidents like the Intercontinental Hotel, where we heard testimony about how a security officer was given $100,000 to turn over security footage of Sean Combs assaulting Cassie Ventura. So all of this is really helping the government to bring its case together, and the defense is now also cross-examining her and trying to poke holes in that testimony. Katrina Kaufman, CBS News, New York.
Like the videos, you guys come in. We're just doing a recap review on what's been going on. Thanks for being here, everyone. Thanks for subscribing. Like the videos, you guys come in. Can you guys hear me okay? Press 1. Can you guys hear me okay? Press 1. Don't forget to subscribe.
Well, definitely as far as Diddy's demeanor goes today, he was doing kind of what he's usually been doing, jotting notes down, talking to his attorneys, all of that stuff. There were a couple moments, especially when the sexually explicit videos were played specifically to the jury.
Good morning. Thanks for commenting.
And so I was seeing him kind of peek over at their direction because they played those explicit videos for a long amount of time. I think longer than whenever the summary witness.
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. I appreciate that, Pamela. I hope all is well with you as well. Thank you for asking.
Was talking about the Cassie summary exhibits, was playing for that amount of time. But for these specific videos, I did see him kind of peeking over here and there, especially because of the duration and how long they were playing. Plus, it was super quiet inside that courtroom when they were playing those videos. Literally, you could hear a pin drop. It was just that quiet. But again, these are only shown to the jury. But as far as what I could see of Diddy's demeanor today, still the same old. It doesn't
Good
seem
afternoon.
that he feels maybe nervous or anxious. But again, we're never inside his mind, so we don't know 100% for sure what he's thinking at all times.
So what are the penalties for not filing it?
Like the video, like the video. I hope everyone's doing well.
We don't know 100% for sure what he's thinking at all times.
We got a old Hollywood angel says, can you tell Elizabeth we call her Queen Elizabeth? So again, you're getting a ton of praise from all of our fans. Elizabeth, I got a question for you. I'm reading the transcripts of these voice messages from Sean Combs, whether it's to Jane, whether it's to associates. How impactful are these voice messages? It seems to me, if the government is trying to say he played a central role in setting up these Wild King nights and transporting people and paying for their services, to have him on these voice notes feels like a mic drop at the moment, no?
It was a little bit kind of I think the government was doing what they could do with these voice messages. It wasn't necessarily like a mic drop moment, but it also could be depending on how you look at it. So when you're hearing Diddy on these audio messages asking for $5,000, $10,000, making sure that Jane has $15,000, it's a lot of money that's just being casually talked about during these audio messages. And even when you kind of hear his demeanor on these audio notes, because, you know, obviously we who have been covering this case, we know what Diddy sounds like, we know his voice, we hear him inside the courtroom sometimes when the jury is not present. However, for most jurors, I would expect that most of them don't really recognize his voice, and maybe I would expect that maybe they don't match it to the person sometimes, especially because as you're hearing it, he's asking for large sums of money, he's asking for medication, he's asking to make sure that he has as much baby oil as he can, because he was like, why am I out here searching for baby oil? Just make sure I have this baby oil here. I shouldn't be doing this. But he was saying it in kind of a joking manner too, that you really can't tell if he was being kind of serious or if he's being playful and joking. You never just know what they're thinking. But as far as just what the government was doing by playing these particular voice messages, of course, you're hearing about the money being exchanged. You're hearing about, or I shouldn't say exchanged, but about the money being obtained or given to Diddy in some form or fashion. You hear about him asking Christina Courtroom, for example, to make sure that the assistant set up the rooms before he gets there. Or you're hearing just different messages, just things that he would say to Christina Courtroom about, get me this, get me that, I need this, please and thank you, here and there. So it could be a bombshell moment depending on how you look at it, but it's interesting just kind of hearing these all play out. Now, there were a good portion of the audio messages that we didn't hear. I think there were some technical issues. Some of the audio messages weren't necessarily redacted, so we didn't hear everything in its full capacity. But as far as what we did hear, I think it did kind of have a sticking point, possibly for the jury.
You have to explain to us what's going on after the prosecution rests. So we get this question from Lisa5472. Elizabeth, has the defense given any clues on what they're doing after the prosecution rests? Because are they planning to call witnesses or no? Are they just planning to play some exhibits? What's going on? I think we learned a little bit more about.
Big question. Let's listen into what they have to say. Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Like I said, he's innocent till proven guilty in a court of law. A judge, jury's going to have to decide if there's any wrongdoing. Someone has said, if you're doing well, I don't know you. I don't know you. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
It's the beginning of the day, right?
Yeah, it seemed like there was a lot of confusion on whether or not the defense just plans on admitting a bunch of stuff into evidence, or are they going to be calling a witness to kind of explain a lot of things. You know, initially the defense was like, okay, we're going to call Bashta Dunlap, we're going to call Dr. Bardet, we're going to call another witness to testify, but it seems like there was kind of confusion on whether or not all of these people are actually going to be called, because if everyone remembers, just last week, the government said that, or excuse me, the defense said that their case in chief would be less than they were expecting. They plan, and this is still the plan, for summations or closing arguments to happen this Thursday. So it's possible that they may still call maybe one witness, maybe possibly two, but as far as maybe just a long witness that they may see for the defense's case in chief, it doesn't seem like that's necessarily happening. So we're still going under the impression that maybe a witness or two will be called, but as far as the defense's case overall, it seems like it'll be kind of wrapped up by either tomorrow or by Wednesday at the latest.
And which is why we're saying it seems unlikely at this point, highly unlikely, that Sean Combs is going to testify, because if he did take the stand, that whole schedule gets thrown out the window. Okay. Got a question from Sam. For beautiful Elizabeth, what is your personal thoughts on what the outcome of this trial will be? Guilty or not guilty?
Ooh, that is...
What's your personal thoughts? You guys think he'll be guilty, not guilty? Let me know in the comments. Like I said, it's up to the jurors. It's not up to us. But let's see what she has to say. Like I said, this is coming from Law Crimes. Like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Thanks for supporting. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
A great question. I'm a little mixed, right? Like, I think the government really does have a strong case for counts 3 and 5, that being transportation to engage in prostitution. Because as much as we talk about this trial, Jesse, I think there's a lot of people who still are under the assumption that Diddy's only charged with RICO and that he's only charged with sex trafficking. But that's not the case. He has those other charges too, that being transportation to engage in prostitution. And it seems like from the government that they have at least that kind of going in their favor. Now, as far as sex trafficking with Jane, I'm still kind of a little on the fence. It's not up to me, though. It's up to the jury to make those final decisions. With sex trafficking with Cassie, it also still kind of, I'm on the fence a little bit about that too. And it's not my personal feelings. It's more so just the evidence that has been brought forth. And plus, I think a lot of people have to remember Cassie was at the beginning of this trial. We've had a whole bunch of other witnesses. So do people necessarily remember what all Cassie had to say at the beginning of the trial? I'm not necessarily sure. There's been so much other information that we have heard about since that maybe was able to kind of, poke the holes where it was able to poke the holes in. But again, this is just me thinking RICO, I'm still also on the fence about that. So we'll kind of wait and see what the jury has to come back with as far as what their thoughts are about this. But it doesn't matter about what I think. It doesn't matter what any of us think. It's about what those jurors think whenever they go to deliberate on this case.
Hello there. My name's
a lot of people don't know if he's coming home. People don't know. It's going to definitely be up to the jury. Was the jury convinced about the evidence that was presented? Let's continue. Fair use. Don't forget to subscribe, you guys. Let's continue. Fair use.
Again, why I think closing arguments are so pivotal in this case. The jury instruction is so pivotal, trying to tie it all together, how all the elements fall into place, both for the prosecution and the defense. I think of the whole case. I think a lot of this case rests on closing arguments. I really do. Okay, we got a question from Mylan Boardman. Question for Elizabeth. How's the vibe outside of the courtroom as the trial wraps up? Aside from the fact that outside it's like 98 degrees, and I'm surprised you're not melting right now. And this is great reporting. Thank you so much for being outside. But aside from that, what is the vibe outside of the courtroom? Is anybody there, or is the heat detracting people?
Well, the heat, I feel like, possibly is attracting people in the sense it's New York City, it's summertime, the solstice was over the weekend, and people are just outside kind of camping with lawn chairs. And I think it's possible that they're using these lawn chairs to possibly sell their spots in line to whoever's willing to buy it. But that's just me. We never know. But it seems like people are kind of camping out because they expect one closings to happen. And then, once the jury gets the case, I think everyone wants to know when the jury will get that verdict down. And so as far as the media attention goes, that hasn't stopped not one bit since this trial began. Of course, it's not body to body like it was at the beginning or the first week, but it's definitely, a row kind of also where I am. It just stretches all the way down the street of just reporters, of media, just all doing their live shots, similar to how I'm doing right now. But even outside, kind of past me right over there, you can see kind of the live streamers, the YouTubers, the podcasters kind of doing their, lunchtime wrap-up stream, kind of similar to how we're doing right now. And then there are just people who are just curious whether or not it's to see the family coming outside for the lunch break or it's to see the family. And some people think that Diddy sometimes...
Yeah, several reporters are able to get into the courtroom, and general public, media, YouTubers. So there's a certain amount for reporters, and then there's a certain amount for YouTubers and the public. I'm surprised people are somewhat being talked about. They're bringing their teenagers in there in the court, which I'm surprised. There's a lot of information that's being given in the court, but I guess they're maybe teaching, their children. Yeah, it's all alleged. All comments are alleged. He's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. We bring information in regards to what's being talked about in the courts. In the court, outside the court, many people have been writing notes, and they come on YouTube and tell us what's been happening. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Yeah, all allegations. They have to convince the jury on what the decision will be. And if I'm not mistaken, the jury has been given instructions on what they feel, what should happen. We'll know something very soon, within the next 2 weeks, if not a week. We'll know something. They're trying to wrap everything up before the 4th of July. So let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Comes out of these doors, even especially towards the end of the day, and I have to tell people, oh no, I'm sorry, he's still incarcerated at NDC, but for the most part the vibe hasn't changed much. It's still a lot of interest in this case, no matter if it's raining, no matter if it's cool, no matter if it's just hot and scorching hot like it is today.
Somebody asked me over the weekend, I heard Diddy's out. I heard he got released. I was like, what's going on here? Like,
no.
But all right, not the case. All right, this is from Miss G Dove. What was the jury's emotions watching those videos? I imagine they're talking about the sexually explicit videos that were shown today. Misty, who we have on as well, I think she said that the jury's watched like 40 hours of videos right now of this sexually explicit content, maybe. What has been the reaction watching this?
Well, from what I could see of the jury when they're watching these videos, I could see that, and let me just preface it by saying this, it's first thing in the morning, it's around 9 o'clock in the morning, and they're seeing these hotel nights of wild debauchery night, wild king night, whatever we want to call them, those types of videos just bright and early in the morning. And so from what I could see of them, they didn't have much of a reaction. I know when they were watching the Cassie sexually explicit videos of the freak-off tapes and things of that sort, that TMZ reported that one of the jurors kind of giggled. But from what I could see of them today watching the videos that featured Jane and Sean Combs and the other entertainers involved in their hotel nights, but I didn't see much of a reaction. But they were watching those videos for a long amount of time. I think overall, AAUSA Maureen Comey said that it was about 50 videos, and maybe, it's hard to kind of guesstimate how long they were watching those videos, and they were into individual clips. They were playing for maybe 2.5 minutes, a minute and a half, or a minute, however much it was, but probably all together, they were watching those videos, and I hate to guesstimate, just in case I'm wrong, it felt like they were watching those videos for at least an hour. Now, I might be wrong, but it felt that was how long they were watching those videos.
I said hours back then, not 40 hours, 40 minutes worth of it, I think. Hours would be a lot. Okay. This is a great question from Alana Rodriguez, a question that's coupled with a compliment. Hey, Jesse, can you please tell Elizabeth I said I hope she's doing great, and I think she's beautiful. You're both pretty great. So, if closing arguments are Thursday, when will there be a verdict from the jury?
Good question.
Ooh, that is a good...
Listen in. Good question. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Don't forget to subscribe, you guys.
Yes, well, let me just say this, that July 4th is next week. I'm going to guess, I'm not going to say if I had to put money on it because I always lose when I say that, but I'm going to guess that possibly they'll come back on the 2nd. And then there's been discussions that they might also deliberate on the 3rd. Now, originally, if court was going to kind of continue on and we were kind of getting into that time frame, they initially weren't going to have court on July 3rd, but I think it's up to the judge's discretion on whether or not the jury will actually be able to deliberate on that day. So I'm going to guess probably July 2nd or July 3rd. Before the July 4th weekend, I think they'll come back with the verdict, but we'll see.
Okay.
You can order almost anything off of the internet.
Like the video, fair use reaction clip. Press 3 if you're new, where you're watching from. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 5 you've been here before, where you're watching from. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
July 4th weekend, I think they'll come back with the verdict, but we'll see.
Okay. We got a question here from, where is it? Okay, this is, I just had a great question. Oh, yeah, this is from Janelle Smith. Would the jury have access to these exhibits during deliberation?
Good question.
They will, and I think that's part of the reason why the summary chart is so important. Yes, these are repetitive messages that we have already seen, but now these messages are all kind of in this concrete way where they can go and look at, GX 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, know that exhibit accompanies this particular flight and this particular booking. They can see the text messages, the videos that accompany it. And I think that's kind of the big part of why these summary exhibits and these summary charts are so important. Now, there have been some exhibits that have been just used as a demonstrative exhibit. So that.
Yes, thanks for saying that. A great way to support the channel is to subscribe and double tap the screen. It's free. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
Won't be something that the jury will actually be able to take back into the jury room and see all of that stuff. But as far as most of the exhibits, as far as photographs, videos, text messages, flight summaries and catalogs and all of that stuff, the jury has a lot of evidence to really kind of consider it. Remember, everybody, this trial has been going on for quite a while, so they'll have a lot of things to consider in terms of just the amount of evidence they saw, going all the way back to Cassie, to Officer Israel Flores, to Kid Cudi, to Mia, to Capricorn Clark, to Jane. There's a whole bunch of witnesses, and that's not even including the assistants, too, that they'll be able to kind of see all of these things probably in one place, especially with the help of those summary charts from the government.
Elizabeth, I mentioned before, this is a question from Never Be, though. Jesse, it's been rumored that Diddy wants to take the stand and sideswipe the prosecutor by doing it last minute. Have you heard anything? Have you heard any rumors about it, Elizabeth?
I have not heard any rumors about it, but I think that's an interesting question because remember when those documentaries were first coming out, even prior to trial beginning, where Mark Agnifilo said something along the lines of, I can't keep my client off of the witness stand whenever it is his time to kind of tell his story. He was kind of saying that at the beginning. Now that we're in trial, I don't know if it'll actually be the same. Nothing is confirmed just yet. Who knows? It could be a last minute decision because the defendant does have that right to testify if he chooses to do so. So we'll wait and see.
Are y'all surprised that there wasn't more parties that were talked about at his house? They have a lot of stuff from the raid. A lot of stuff we're hearing about is stuff from hotels. Why aren't we hearing a lot of stuff about what happened at his home, if they raided his home? Other than the pictures, what else did they catch? Of course, there's emails that sent out. There's voicemails that went out. But from what those lawsuits reported, why aren't we hearing more about what happened at his home outside of what happened at the hotel? Questionable. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Nothing's confirmed just yet. Who knows? I might just be running out here one lunch break and be like, Diddy's about to take the stand. But that has not happened yet, and we don't know if that will necessarily happen too, but nothing's confirmed just yet.
All right, Elizabeth Milner, I don't want you spending any more time outside than you have to, so jump back inside. Thank you so much, and I'll see you later for our daily sidebar recap. We recap everything that's happening during.
So great information from Law Crimes. Hold on one second. Like the video as you guys come in. Like the video as you come in, please, and thank you. Like the video as you guys come in. Like the video, and thank you. Fair use reaction clip. Let's get to some more hot topics, trending topics.
28, week 7 of the United States versus Sean Combs. And we are pretty much on the last week here. I guess the last full week, hopefully, but the government is actually set to rest their case tomorrow instead of today. They did finish the direct testimony of their last witness, Special Agent Joseph Cerciello, but we still have to get to the cross-examination this afternoon, and then most likely a redirect, which will be tomorrow morning. And the judge said that by Wednesday, we should be doing the jury charges, and closing arguments should be Thursday. The defense really believes that on Tuesday, they will start tomorrow, they will start their case in chief, and they will finish it. So that was really interesting. And it sounds like what they're going to do is, instead of calling all these witnesses, they're actually going to be putting evidence up for everybody to view, text messages, emails, etc. And they also want to isolate witness testimony, government witness testimony, that was inconsistent with what these witnesses had previously told the government before they got on the stand. And they're going to be doing this via stipulation, and they're actually working a bit with the government on this to streamline the process. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And also the verdict sheets, both the defense and the government submitted their verdict sheets. I actually tweeted this out at Conlin_Lauren if you want to view them. But basically there was a really big difference on the way they wanted to present the RICO. The defense wanted the jury to write in the predicates that they felt like Diddy was guilty of if they felt like he was guilty, and the judge was like, no, this is really just asking for a disaster if you want the jury to kind of write all this in. Meanwhile, the government had a novel of what they should check off, so the judge was like, okay, let's just meet in between here. So that is the plan. And also, Alexandra Shapiro requested that the not guilty was on the left side versus the right side. Okay, so we'll see if we follow that schedule. Who knows? We'll wait and see. But let's just get to Joseph Cerciello. His testimony, I mean, again, I had said this last week, we are in the Jane era. We are recapping and summarizing all of that. So a lot of the stuff we had heard before, but I will say we heard a lot of different female names, really showing us how much Diddy just appeared.
Please subscribe to the page. Please subscribe to the page. Please double tap the screen. We've been live for about 25 minutes. There's only 21 likes. If you're watching from a phone, press 1. Please double tap that screen to hit the like, please. Let's get the likes to 100, and thank you. Please double tap that screen. If you're watching from a tablet or a phone, all you have to do is double tap the screen, and thank you.
Juggling a few women. We even saw a text from Gina. We had never seen a text from Gina before, but first and foremost, the jury saw sexual encounters or explicit videos. There were over 50 videos, but they only saw about 14 clips. And the special agent testified that he recognized Diddy, Cabral, and Jane in most of these videos. Or they were the ones that he knew them and he recognized them, but that doesn't mean they were the only ones in the videos. Now, the jury, they didn't react like they did before. They were, again, very stoic. By the fourth video, I noticed that one juror, he kind of was tired of it. He was kind of rubbing his temple, taking his glasses off, and a female juror, a little bit older, was kind of going like this. They seemed like, okay, been there, done that. And it felt like we were watching a lot, or they were watching a lot of videos. Again, this is all sealed, so we had no idea what they were watching or what they were listening to. Also, there was a text exchange between Diddy and KK mentioning someone named, it was a name Annika. I had never heard that before. And KK had texted him twice saying that your nightstand has Plan B in it. That felt like it was really important for her to say. We also got some context into something from September of 2023. This was a time Jane was supposed to go to New York, but she heard Diddy on a podcast bragging about how much sex he had with another woman on this trip, and it was...
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It sounded like somebody was concerned if they were pregnant or not. Let's rewind that.
Felt like it was really important for her to say. We also got some context into something from September of 2023. This was a time when Jane was supposed to go to New York, but she heard Diddy on a podcast bragging about how much sex he had with another woman on this trip, and it was for 48 hours, and they did it the whole time. And so Jane's texting him like, I'm not coming, sorry, you're out there bragging, and I'm over here doing the dirty work inside these hotel rooms for you while you go on vacations with other women, and I feel disrespected, whatever. Well, we heard from Jane on the stand that, he called her, and he kind of convinced her that we don't have to do this, just come to New York, we'll go shopping, we'll go to dinner, it'll be romantic, etc. Well, then we see the text messages from Jane and Diddy after coordinating the trip, and Diddy telling KK, hey, don't worry, it's cool, Jane's coming. Well, at the very same time, concurrently, when Diddy hangs up with Jane, he texts Paul Arthur, the quote entertainer, and says, hey, are you free? Or are you in New York? Paul's not free. And then he immediately goes and texts Bridget from Cowboys for Angels about somebody. So this to me was the government trying to point out the fraud aspect. Jane was told one thing, and he was already doing the opposite after he told her.
Yeah, that's the one thing with Jane. He would say, you don't have to worry about it, don't worry about it. But then on the other side, he's looking for people. And then remember, she went to the hotel, red light was on, and she had said, I don't want to do that. So that's where they're saying that there's a concern that she's saying no, and then you're setting up for people to come to the hotel anyway. Fair use reaction clip.
That wasn't going to happen. And also, just a little tidbit, Diddy was arguing about Bridget, about the price of some of her guys, and I guess he shortchanged her for one of the men, and she pointed that out, and he was like, look, he couldn't even perform, and she was like, whoa, you are paying for time and companionship, so please, she was kind of like, don't say that, and Diddy's like, okay, no problem, whatever, and he paid the rest. What else? And also, it seems like Diddy really liked Paul Arthur. Things that he would text him seemed a little bit more personal than the other regular escorts. He even said something like, I wish you were here, bro, or something like that, and he also had said at one point that Paul could go chill at his house when he wasn't there, which I was like, oh, okay. What else? There was a lot of texts from assistants needing money or cash for Diddy to bring to the hotel room, and there was also talk of drugs between Diddy. Sorry, just yelling. Talk of drugs between Diddy and an assistant. We even saw a photo of a couple pink pills and blue pills, like 3 pills each in this photo. And then we also saw what he has in his IV cocktail after a hotel night or debauchery, which is like calcium, magnesium, B12, sometimes Benadryl, vitamin C. And then we saw a coordinating hotel thing with someone named Chelsea with these assistants. I don't, we might have heard Chelsea before. I have to go back and look at my notes, but I was like, wow, okay. And then we also saw a text where Diddy wanted KK to cancel on Young Miami. He's like, I'm never gonna be able to get out of here, meaning he was with Jane. He's like, so can you tell her I had a family emergency or something like that? Like, really.
So what happened in regards to Young Miami? Why is she not a part of the case, taking the stand? We haven't really heard about Young Miami. He dated Young Miami for what, 2-3 years? So that's interesting. So Jane Doe was at the hotels allegedly. What about Young Miami? Why isn't she taking the stand? Why isn't alleged Gina taking the stand? Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Juggling these women. And then there was another occasion where KK said, hey, KT can't be in VIP. This was during one of Diddy's performances because Jane is here and the VIP section is too small. I took KT to be maybe Young Miami, Carisha, I'm not sure. Also, we heard audio messages from Diddy to KK saying he was out of baby oil and he kind of laughed about it. Like, I can't believe I'm looking for baby oil. And he also asked her for Cialis. And KK said, hey, we dropped off 8 bottles of baby oil, 8 bottles of Astroglide. What else? Oh, and then we saw when Jane was trying to break up with Diddy in October of 2023, saying that she's sick of having loveless sex and feeling this way, and she feels exploited and blah, blah, blah. Well, we see that while he's texting with Jane, trying to say, hey, we don't have to do this, Gina texts him and says, hey, babe, I'm ready for the car. So you're like, oh my gosh, this guy is busy. Yeah, and then again.
So he is calling Jane Doe, and he's also communicating with Gina. So who's to say if he didn't have them at a similar hotel or close by a hotel? Very interesting. That's the first time they mentioned Gina and young Jane Doe together.
Just more flight records of
let's go back.
The different escorts ready for the car. So you're like, oh my gosh, the sex and feeling this way, and she feels exploited and blah, blah, blah. Well, we see that while he's texting with Jane, trying to say, hey, we don't have to do this, Gina texts him and says, hey, babe, I'm ready for the car. So you're like, oh my gosh, this guy is busy. Yeah, and then again, just more flight records of the different escort or entertainers and Jane flight records matching with the bank, matching with text messages, matching with hotel invoices, a lot of what we've seen previously, just adding a little bit more context. Okay, so I probably forgot something, but I'll add it later on today after I update everybody about the cross, because usually it's a little bit shorter because court is shorter in the afternoon. All right, thanks everyone.
Okay, so that's a midday recap review in regards to the trial. We've been live for about 30 minutes. Please continue to hit the like button, you guys. There's about 106 in the building. Please hit the like button. It's just the double tapping of the screen. That's a free way to support the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. That's another way to support the channel. It's been a busy day. I had to come on live to give you guys some information. I know you guys are just now coming in. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. Let me do this video clip. Fair use reaction clip.
City Press. It's the midday break today, Monday, June 23rd. It's the day 28 of the Sean Combs trial. And this was the U.S. Basically has rested its case, although they didn't use the magic words. They said no further questions. They questioned this agent Cerciello for the entire morning. And at first it was hard to figure out. It just seemed very scattershot, and read this message, read that message, and the public screens were turned off so you couldn't see the video, not just the videos, but even the exhibits, because they hadn't somehow taken the time to redact or Jane's real name. But it all, at least to me, it's sort of what they were trying to do, to put it that way, came together. They were basically showing in a sort of crescendo that ended just now with the day in 2024 of the fight at the house there in Los Angeles. They were trying to show the incredible interweaving of all of Sean Combs' assistants and Bad Boys employees, including Jonathan Perez, including Fahim Mohammed, including Brandon Paul, who just got off the witness stand Friday, and it made me wonder why they didn't ask him more specifically about, as much as he said that his drug buying was only about 1% of his work, he was extremely involved and knowledgeable of these last minute events leading up to this. Now, there were some strange, there was one of the escorts apparently was named Rico Love, and he had another name, but of course it flashed, it wasn't on the screen, so I'm going to call him Rico Love. There was a reference to Swipe Diddler that some people took an interest in. Turns out that Swipe Diddler appears to have been a Venmo handle for Combs. Swipe Diddler. What else do we have? There's a lot of moving parts here. We live tweeted it all. To some degree, it was fragmentary. I don't know what to say about it, except that it's difficult when things are being read extremely fast. At the end, AUSA Maureen Comey kind of laughed and said that the judge had asked her to speed it up, and so she had. So there were speed-read exhibits between her and Cerciello, with them playing parts, playing Jane, playing Christina Coram. At various points, like Sean Combs said, bring the X number of bottles of baby oil to the door, and the cash, and his phone. They've left the jury with a picture of an organization, of at least of an entire system of personal assistance, very much in the know of what was taking place with Jane and the travel arrangements for the escorts. We'll see. I think when we go back in, we're going to have the Rule 29 motion, which is to say there's not enough evidence here. Then we're going to have a defense case, and they say that the closings will be on Thursday. So we'll be covering it to the end. Inner City Press.
So that'll be interesting that the closings are on Thursday. Like I said, they are trying to finalize everything before the 4th of July. But if that doesn't happen, that does not happen. It does not look like KK is going to hit the stand. It does not look like D-Rock is going to hit the stand. It doesn't look like Young Miami might hit the stand. It doesn't look like any of his close friends over the last 10 or 15 years are going to take the stand of what they saw, what they heard. Very interesting. A lot of the focus has been on Diddy and Cassie and the assistants. What about the business partners? What about the driver? What about bodyguards? Very, very interesting. Many people have spoke out regarding that. Okay, midday. So I wanted to do a live. I hadn't gone live since Friday. I have been doing shorts, but I thank everyone for being here. Focus on healthy, safe relationships. Continue to hit the like button, you guys. There's about 95 people in the building. If I can get all 95 people to hit that subscribe button, and thank you. And like I said, Diddy's innocent till proven guilty in a court of law. It's up to a judge and jury. Real talk. It's up to the jury. One juror may say, no, not guilty. You know what I mean? So it's up to them. So a lot of people are like, oh, a decision's already been made and he shouldn't have never even went to jail. And you got to realize there's a lot that's gone on, and his house was raided. But it's very interesting that they're only showing pictures of what was in the room, what happened in the raid, but they're not showing a lot of party stuff. And certain celebrities' names are not being mentioned. So a lot of people are saying that's interesting. So I appreciate everyone for being here. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comma, comments, comma, news reporting, comma, teaching, comma, scholarships and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged, in our opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. I thank everyone for being here. Focus on healthy, safe relationships. Be around people that's loving, kind, and respectful. Goodbye. Have a blessed day. I may come back in the morning and do another recap review for what's happening on day 29. But yeah, most likely I'll be back in the morning. Unless something happens in the afternoon, maybe I'll be back at 6 or 7. But if not, I'll see you guys in the morning. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe. Goodbye.